I can see you. This guy. Fuck it.
I didn't know you could do that.
So it's been over a whole decade since the last Left 4 Dead game had come out, and over the years we've seen many clones come and go, but none of them really scratched the same itch that Left 4 Dead gave. Granted, there are itches in different places, some way itchier than others, but of course everyone knows that Valve can't count to 3.
Is this what you've been waiting for? Say 1, 2, and 4.
And the chances of seeing the Left 4 Dead 3 was becoming ever increasingly slim. And now all of a sudden we have Back 4 Blood, a supposed spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead. But is it really? Well, for the most part I'd say it is, but I wouldn't compare it to the same spiritual successorness of, say, from GoldenEye 64 to Perfect Dark. So Back 4 Blood ended its second beta last month, and you did have to pre-order the game to get into it. So if you were hesitant on it and skipped out, here are my thoughts about it. If you really enjoyed Left 4 Dead's campaign mode, then I'd say that most people are going to be at home here. It's pretty much the same thing, up to 4 players or bots go from point A to point B, killing zombies and picking up loot along the way, with the occasional special zombies with special abilities that can incapacitate a player. You need another player to help you get out of that jam, meaning the whole time, the team needs to stick together. That's really Left 4 Dead in a nutshell. So suffice to say, the basic gameplay is back, the random enemy and item spawns are back. I don't know if it's procedural or not, or if it has that AI director that the first Left 4 Dead had. And of course, that one teammate who just charges ahead like a drunken football player. Yeah, he's back too. But really, that's about where the similarities end, and that's a good thing, because if that's all the game really had to offer, there would hardly be any reason for anyone to pick this up. Totally not Left 4 Dead 3 now has a base where you can talk to people, upgrade and customize your character's deck, which serves as a sort of passive RPG system for your character. It's not a persistent system, instead you pick a randomly chosen card from your deck at the beginning of each round, so you're essentially starting with no active skills every time you start a game. The starting cards at the beginning outright suck, but eventually you start getting more advanced cards that actually start to make a difference. And if you're the kind of person that likes to test all the weapons before you actually start using them for real, this game has you covered with a shooting range. And I have to say I spent much more time here than I thought I would, both shooting the target dummies and not shooting target dummies.
Hey, Eric, you want a grenade?
Like I don't see you. I'm a ninja. You don't see. What is this guy doing behind me? It's not okay.
And speaking of the game's weapons, probably my most favorite part of the game is the semi-randomized store that you can buy weapons and other equipment from at the beginning of each round with the money that you find throughout each level. You can buy pretty much everything you'd expect from the store, but the most interesting bit is that items now have different tiers. Generally speaking, what items will be what tiers is always random, but thankfully guns and attachments always go higher the further in the campaign that you go. However, which guns and attachments are being sold, as well as the attachments on those guns, if any, are also random. So combined with the game's RPG-like deck system, this really offers a lot of variety when we play the game, as well as offering more choices, such whether or not to use your current weapon with its current attachments, or using a higher tier weapon with different or no attachments at all. Honestly, if I had any real complaints from the game's standard mode, it would be the special mutated zombies and the bots, the latter which I'll get into later. As far as the mutated zombies go, or the ridden, I guess you call them, they don't really stand out from each other to me that much. I'm not talking about their body types, but maybe more their clothes or lack thereof. In Left 4 Dead, like the Hunter's hoodie, the boomer not fitting your shirt, but in this game, it's pale skin and blood, pale skin and blood, pale skin and blood. That's it. I don't know, I guess you can call me nostalgic for Left 4 Dead's previous charm when it came to the special infected. The ogre, though, it just pales in comparison to Left 4 Dead's tank. Not only do you not hear an iconic theme that makes everyone go,
Tank! Tank! We got a tank! Holy shit, tank! Tank!
every time you hear it, but his sheer size alone makes him way too easy to deal with. The little bulbs are his only weak point, sure, but they're not that hard to hit, and he's not that hard to flank either. The ogre also doesn't seem to be susceptible to any kind of AI director or whatever. He shows up in the same places every single time, so you always know where he's going to appear. But then again, I don't know how you could do that anyway. He's so freaking huge, you can't place him anywhere else. At least the tank from Left 4 Dead's smaller size allowed him for more places to spawn throughout a level, and because he can actually fit in the same places a player can, he was more of a threat. You know, if anything else, the game's bots are more of a threat than the ogre. No, I'm not kidding. If the bots pull a brain fart, they can end your game in an instant. They hold their own well enough, in some cases better than some players I admit, but sometimes the bots will get just stuck. Now, normally the bots seem to have the ability to teleport next to a human player if they're struggling behind, but only if they're not already stuck, and certain areas of the game require everyone to meet at a checkpoint. So when you get to these checkpoints, you better pray to God that a bot didn't decide to just take a permanent vacation. But luckily the devs are aware of this issue, so hopefully it'll be fixed by release. As for the versus mode,
What the fuck were they thinking?
wow, this is fun. Now, Left 4 Dead's Versus mode offered a real unique take on PvP, at least to me it did. Although technically I think that honor actually goes to Perfect Dark, props to anyone who knows what I'm actually getting at. But Left 4 Dead's Versus mode had 4 players go through the normal campaign as usual, but had 4 other players play as the Special Infected. Now, being zombies and not a survivor with a gun, it's expected for the zombie team to die. A lot. But the goal wasn't necessarily to not die, but to prevent the survivor team from reaching the level's end. The outcome would give the winning team a point, while the next round is the same level played with the team switching sides. But that's not exactly what you get in this game, at least not as far as the level design goes. Back 4 Blood opts for an arena-type layout, where both teams try and last longer than the other team as cleaners, while the other team plays as the Ridden. It's essentially Left 4 Dead survival mode, but with PvP. Now, unfortunately, I only played just a few matches myself. I was enjoying the campaign so much that I only bothered with this mode near the tail end of the beta. I guess the word of it being so bad wasn't helping my enthusiasm to try it, so I can't really give a good enough opinion on it. But I can try. The first match I played, I won both rounds, and the second map, I lost as a cleaner, but I didn't get the chance to play as the Ridden during the second map. The other team had left already. From what little I played, the first map with the wide open spaces seems to be giving the zombies the advantage. The only cover there really is if everyone huddles together in the small buildings. That's a death trap if an exploder can get in there. Probably why I like playing him so much. The second map I played seems to give the advantage to the survivors with the huge indoor hangar. Or does it? I don't know. Lost that round. The problem I see with this mode is that it takes the element of forcing the cleaners to move forward towards the goal out of the picture, instead of just camping out in one spot. Now, whether or not it's balanced with the new kind of special zombies, I don't know. But what I do know is the Versus mode has lost what made its competitive mode so unique. It's not exactly a brainless deathmatch, not that I really have any problem with that kind of gameplay, but I'd honestly rather just play this game mode how it used to be played in Left 4 Dead, cooperatively. Honestly, I had more fun dicking around in the camp than I did in Versus.
Oh, hi. Bye.
Go away!
So all in all, Back 4 Blood is going to be releasing with only 2 game modes. Or 1, if you consider the fact that Swarm mode, which is what the Versus is, isn't even very popular than it might be DOA. And if all that wasn't bad enough...
Is Back 4 Blood going to facilitate the modding community at all with the online element, or is it going to purely be contained game files?
It's contained. We're at launch for sure. Yeah, we're not going to have anything like that available then.
Sad. If you listen closely, you can hear my heart break.
That's why I did. Sorry.
You know what? You tell him, girl. Your heart isn't the only one breaking here. Well, you heard it from the horse's mouth, folks. Pretty much only 1 game mode and no modding support. Honestly, I think Total Rock is shooting themselves in the foot. Again. It's almost as if they want another Evolve to happen. Yeah, I know it's not as bad as that game, but I don't care how replayable a campaign is. I don't care that there's some hidden algorithm that's going to spawn enemies and items in different places every playthrough to keep you on your toes. By all means, have it. It's a great thing to have, and I love procedural generation. But the level layout is never, going to change, and no amount of developers can ever churn out the same amount of new maps and other content faster than a dedicated modding community can. It's pretty much the only reason why Left 4 Dead 2 still has a strong community 11 years after its release. And you know what? I get it. The devs want to make money by selling maps and skins, and if modded maps were allowed, no one would ever touch the official maps. But Back 4 Blood has something Left 4 Dead doesn't: a progression system. Yeah, it's very possible for someone to release a stupid easy map just so people can grind XP with no effort. But then you know what? Fine. Just disable progression on custom content. That way you can still have a modding community and have a reason to play the game's official content. And you know, if nothing has changed, I can pretty much say the game's life is going to be determined by how many campaigns the game will have on release, and how expensive the DLC will be. At the very least, they're going the same route that Payday 2 did, in that as long as the host owns the DLC, everyone can play. But anyway, that's my little personal rant on Back 4 Blood. So if you have any thoughts on the game yourself, tell me in the comments. Will the game blow up, or will it flop like a helpless fish out of water? Either way, I'm interested in your take on it. Throw me a like if you liked the video, subscribe too if you haven't. That's it for this video. I'm Generator, and I'll see you guys in the next one.